Uh, in the Episcopal realm, I'd like to start with a brief poem, uh, a brief prayer. Let us bow our heads. Dearest Lord, we ask that you open our hearts and minds today to hear the message of this program. May we learn to be better stewards of this body that you have given us, so that through it we may do your will while on this earth. We ask for guidance through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Let me share. Are we ready, Rita? Can I share?
Yes.
Okay. We got it. All right. Let's see if we can get. Can everybody see that? You're seeing the partial, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I need to go to slideshow.
Play from start.
Okay. There we go. All right. This is the first session. We have a three-part session, and they usually run about 30, 35 minutes. The objective really is to give you the tools to help understand your own health status and to take actions or maintain or to improve that health status. So it's really to bring information. The first session, we're going to focus on some key numbers that reflect, I think, important conditions for one's health. The second session, we're going to show you how to understand your own health status in a better way. And the third session, we're going to assist you in creating your own health strategy. And in each session, you'll have actions to consider. Three session, and each session there are some actions we suggest that you can take if you so desire. Let's talk about the three things that we want you to know. We want you to know some key numbers, which we're going to talk about today. Then session two, again, your health status, and three, your own health strategy. As I've talked to my primary care physician, one of the frustrations has been, this is long-term, you go in for a problem, but what about your overall health? Are they talking about that? Now they're doing a little more of that with Medicare, but I think we can be empowered ourselves to understand what it is to mean, to understand, develop, and manage our own health strategy for ourselves. And that sort of flows through all of this. First session, know your numbers. And I want you to understand the importance of those and how you can obtain those if you haven't already. And my guess is that some of you have already obtained some of yours at this point. First number, A1C. This is some of you, my guess is a lot of you know this. This is a blood test that really measures the average blood sugar levels for you over the last 3 months. It's different from just knowing what your blood sugar is. And it is more definitive in terms of a long-term issue that you may have with raised blood sugar. It's common to use for diagnosing diabetes and pre-diabetics as well. And I think we want to talk about that. When sugar enters your bloodstream, it attaches to a protein in your bloodstream. And the A1C measures the percentage of blood cell that have sugar-coated hemoglobin on them. So the A1C, a typical number, my A1C is 6 right now. So that says 6% of my blood cells have sugar-coated hemoglobin in them. And that is getting on the verge. That's in the pre-diabetic range. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But sort of technically, that's what the A1C does. It measures that level of concentration of sugar that's attached to your blood cells. And that's in a 3-month basis. If you look at just your blood sugar, that's really a very quick measure, and that typically is like within hours. It tells you what it is in the last several hours, and that changes dramatically, as you know, during the day in terms of what you're eating, etc. Now, criteria for for diagnosing diabetes, A1C is one of the critical ones. And if you go to your doctor and he thinks you may be a diabetic or pre-diabetic, he or she will have an A1C test or should have one. If you look at the normal range here, 4 to 5%, 5.6%, and it's equivalent to a fasting blood glucose of 99 or lower. And you're pre-diabetic, 5.7 to 6.4. And I happen to be in that range. And one of my objectives is really to try and bring that down. If you're above 6.5, you really are considered to be a diabetic. And you can see in terms of the fasting blood sugar, 126 or higher. And again, the fasting blood glucose is normal, or not normal, but it depends on when you take it in the day and what you've been eating, etc. So that gives you a sense of A1C measurement. And it's one of the things that you want to ask your primary care physician to get for you. Typically, they do it about once a year, and it gives you an idea of where you are. Unless you're in a pre-diabetic program where you may want to monitor it maybe every 6 months or so. It gets to really what is diabetes, and I think we all have a sense of that. When you have type 2 diabetes, your body really has trouble using or managing enough insulin. And as you know, insulin really is critical for breaking down sugar to get it into the cells. That's where you get your energy. And if you can't do that, you are in trouble in terms of energy and a lot of other things. If you have type 2 diabetes, your body may not use insulin efficiently. Sugar can't enter the cells, and again, it starts to affects your energy. The downside, obviously, you're all familiar with diabetes and a lot of the implications of that. Just to give you a sense, Dutchess County, there are 30,000 people that are diabetics. It's about, there are 100,000 in Dutchess that are pre-diabetic. So if by our standards, that's between 5.7 and 6.4 if you're measuring it with an A1C. 30,000 are above the 6.5 range. We're spending about $300 million on diabetes treatment in Dutchess County each year. A lot of money. Of those who have diabetes, 62% have high blood pressure, about 39% have chronic kidney disease, and 12% have vision impairment. So you can start to see the impact. And this is why I think A1C is so important, because it gets at measuring where we are in terms of our diabetes, pre-diabetics, or not at all. And the impact of diabetes is significant in all of our populations. Let's go on to a second. And this one you all can probably give us by rote what your blood pressure is. Systolic, you know, is the top one. And this, I didn't know this before we started looking at this. That measures the force your heart exerts on your arteries when your heart beats. So when your heart is pushing that blood out into the rest of your body, that force is your top number. Now, interestingly, the bottom number is still the force that your heart exerts on your arteries between beats. So there's a pressure that it must maintain. So if you're 120/80, the 80 is the pressure that the heart is continuing to exert on the arteries between beats, and that's necessary to keep the blood moving. Again, if we look at blood pressure, hypertension, normal, 119 or less, and diastolic, 80 or less. And there's been some talk about should they lower that? And they did lower it a little bit. I think it was probably about 125 before, and new standards have come out, and these reflect those. Elevated 120 to 129 in terms of the systolic, and then if hypertension, if you start to get into the 130s, and stage 2, and then hypertension crisis if you're over that. Now, the good news is that there's a lot of medicines that can be and are being used to control some of your blood pressure issues. On the other hand, there are some other options in terms of weight and exercise that also can impact this. And again, this would be something that you'd want to discuss with your physician in terms of what, if in fact you fall into a stage 1, stage 2, etc., what you might want to do. Okay. Obviously, high blood pressure is one of the key reasons for heart disease. Your arteries are being stretched. Your arteries are being really stressed out. You get aneurysms. You get other things that start to build up because you're putting too much pressure on the arteries. So heart disease is one of the main results of high blood pressure. 36,000 people in Dutchess County have heart disease. And we're spending, again, 291 million. We're spending a lot of money on these things in terms of heart disease in Dutchess County. So you can start to get an idea of that. A disturbing factor is that heart disease among 18 to 44-year-olds is growing. And this is a big concern in terms of not only being aware of it, but what can be done. So heart disease, and we know that heart disease is, let me go back here, heart disease is the #1 reason for premature deaths in our country. And you combine that with the other one, and you're talking about probably a third of the disease-related deaths. Okay, here's one that is one of my favorites: body mass index. What the devil is that? It's really measuring the body fat based on height and weight for adult men and women. And there is, let me show you the indicators here. This again is the body mass index, and you will have, we're putting on the website a chart which gives you the ability to calculate quickly by height and weight a conversion to what your body mass is. Rita had just come across a new way to measure it, and this may be a quick way to give you at least a sense of where you are. If you take your height in inches and you divide it, Rita, help me out, you divide it in 2.
Correct. Divide it in half.
Divide it in half. Sometimes you could divide it in 2 too. And you get what your waist should be. So I'll give an example.
At a maximum. What your waist should be at a maximum.
So my height is 73 inches. So my weight should be 36.5 inches. And it isn't. So I know that,
pounds.
I'm sorry?
Your weight should be pounds.
Your weight can be pounds, but we're giving you the body mass index.
Okay.
That's a quick way to do it. The chart that we're going to set up does take your height and your weight, and then it converts it to what the body mass index is. But just a quick, if you wanted to quickly say, well, I'm 6 foot, so I'm 72 inches, so that's 36. Half of that is 36. So my waist, if my waist is 36, that's, if I'm above that, I am overweight and or I'm not sure where I am in terms of obesity. Now look at this chart. Again, your body mass, and now I happen to know my body mass index is about 29.2. So I am just under obesity. And healthy weight, 19 to 24. And you will, I think one of the things that you'll see here, see, I have the, hold on a minute. I've got the chart which you can pick up, but if I'm 73 inches and I'm 219 pounds, I am, my body mass index is 29 according to this chart. And this is one that you'll be able to pick up off of our site. Anybody want to test one?
No.
John? I don't want to.
We did it on the, I found the calculator online.
Yeah, there is a calculator online. And again, we'll have a body mass index, which gives us all of the whole range of things. And it's a quick way to do it too. So either way, what it does give you is a sense of where your weight is relative to your height and or where your body mass index is relative to your height.
Sure.
And body mass index, really, if we're talking about weight and we're talking about diabetes,
2 grand.
weight is one of the contributors in terms of that. Now, what's the impact of a high BMI? Again, these numbers continue to be disturbing to me. 42% of the population in the United States is obese. That means their BMI is above 30. Actually in Dutchess County, we're lower than that, and 30% in Dutchess County. So about 100,000 people in Dutchess County are considered obese according to the BMI.
How do you know that?
How do I know that? We go to the Department of Health, and we also go to the CDC and look at projections in terms of population. And it's broken out by state and then by county. So that's where we're getting our numbers. Again, a projection, obese individuals spend about $1,500 more on healthcare per year than those that are not. So if we look at that number, Dutchess County is spending $184 million on obesity-related complications. So obesity really contributes to heart disease, to stroke, and to diabetes. So you can start to see how these things come together. Let's look at the fourth one, cholesterol and lipids. Cholesterol really is made by your liver and really helps you digest fatty foods. So it's really essential that you have that. But it also, so your body makes all the cholesterol that you really need. But we do consume more cholesterol in terms of what we eat. So we have to watch some of that. Now, cholesterol, and I didn't know all of this before, but cholesterol, break it down into two, into bad cholesterol, which is low density lipoprotein, and a high level of, bear with me, a high level of the bad or the low density LDL raises your risk for heart disease and stroke, and it builds up plaque in the blood vessels. So if you've got high blood pressure and you're stressing your arteries and your veins, and you've got plaque building up in your veins, you're starting to put some pressure in terms of what problems may arise. Interestingly, the HDL, or the high density, is good stuff, and it absorbs cholesterol in the bloodstream and takes it back to the liver, gets back to our liver, gets it back to the liver, and that flushes out of the body. So when you start to look at your numbers, you want high HDL and you want low LDL. About 38% of Americans have high cholesterol, and 120,000 people in Dutchess County have high cholesterol. And it puts you at risk there. Now, triglycerides are again a lipid, and this gives your body energy, and high triglycerides combined with cholesterol raises your risk of heart attack, stroke. So you want to monitor your triglycerides as well. And your body makes triglycerides, and you also get them from food. So you get some of this you can control, and some of it you cannot. Now, we look at total cholesterol. So this is confusing, I know, and it's always been confusing to me. What are we measuring? Total cholesterol gives you a sense of less than 200 is really optimally where you want to be, and you can see borderline unhealthy, etc. LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, you want to try and keep under 100. If you get between, say 130, 150, you're starting to get borderline, et cetera, and you can start to see where you get into trouble. And your HDL, which is the good stuff, you want that to be as high as possible. So that gives you some sense of measurement. And again, the triglycerides, you want to keep under 150. Now, let me I'll share with you, I come from a family that has hereditarily high cholesterol. About 25 years ago, I went to my cardiologist and they measured my cholesterol and it was about 350. And as a result, I had a quadruple bypass and I have been on a statin drug ever since, which has kept the cholesterol level low. If I go off the statin, my cholesterol automatically goes up to 350. Without a statin, I'm probably around 100 right now. So it clearly has helped me a great deal. But you can see now that's hereditarily high. The other thing that contributes, obviously, is what we eat in terms of adding cholesterol. So again, is something that we want to be aware of. So all of these numbers start to come together in terms of affecting your health. So what we are encouraging is you should know your numbers. I'm not telling you what to do, but you should know your numbers so you understand where you are. And you can start to see the interplay between the A1C, the blood pressure, the BMI, and the cholesterol. Those all, if you get those together and you have high numbers in all of those, your health is going to be challenged. The good news is that there are a lot of ways that this can be managed and that don't require an enormous number of different alternatives. I will tell you, and no surprise here, two things that come out are not going on a diet, but what is your diet? And secondly, how are you doing in terms of general exercise and moving? And those you will hear are critical. Now, I will say one of the things that Kathy and I went through about 2 years ago. Northern Dutchess has a CDC certified program in pre-diabetes, and it was fantastic. The emphasis is really to understand not going on a diet, but what is your diet and how can you manage your diet? And again, it's not, it's making you aware of what foods are available, etc. To us, it was life-changing, and both of us, our blood pressure went down, our cholesterol went down, our A1C went down, and it was a terrific program. And I think they are still holding it. It's free. You need to sign up and get a referral from, I don't know, a doctor or I'm not sure who else. And we will find out more. I'll find out more information and we'll put it on the website in terms of where you can contact. Now, getting your numbers. A1C, you do need to draw blood, so you will probably need to have a physician, your primary care physician can do it. Have them order a blood drawing, so you could just go to the lab wherever you go, and they can draw that, and you can get the results. Blood pressure, this is pretty straightforward. You can get that. Obviously, we have a kit at home where we can measure blood pressure. You can do that. There's a lot of places you could probably just go in and they'll measure your blood pressure in your primary care office if you have one. Body mass index, as Mary has indicated, there are calculators on the internet. Just go BMI calculator and you can find one. We will put the chart, the body mass index table up, and you'll be able to pull that up and take a look at that. That again will give you an idea of where you are. And cholesterol and triglycerides, you do need to get blood drawn for that. And again, if you don't have either the A1C or the cholesterol, I would call up your primary care if you have one and say, you know, I'd like to do this. Can you get an order to whatever lab they have? we have a primary care physician up in Northern Dutchess, and their practice actually will draw the blood and get the results in, and they will get us back the results. What I have found is that the physicians are very interested in the fact that you're interested in knowing those things. Most physicians now are trained, particularly the primary care, are trained to deal with problems. You bring them health problems and they address those and they give you some way to ameliorate those and you go on your way. What has not come out, I think, is your ability to manage your own health status. First, what is it? And secondly, what can I do about it? And how do I manage it as a joint program with my primary care physician? And there's a lot that can be done. And this is where we're seeing a lot of the money being spent in healthcare. It is because of some of these chronic diseases that aren't early identified and or prevented or managed, that there are significant opportunities for each of us to try and measure, to try and maintain and manage our healthcare. So let me stop there. Oops. Let me stop there. There is a website that I would encourage you to go to if you haven't already, episcopalseniors.org. And there are my and Rita's contacts. But let me stop there in terms of questions, concerns.
Go ahead and stop sharing your screen.
I will. Okay. Any questions?
Before we go to that, let me just say that in terms of the blood work, the A1C is not fasting, but the cholesterol is. So
Correct.
if you're going to do the cholesterol blood work, you just need to make sure that you haven't had anything to eat or drink for 8 hours prior. So that's just something you have to mentally prepare for. Take your cup of coffee with you and go first thing in the morning. So you can have your caffeine right afterwards.
Garnett?
I just had a physical. Can I just call up the doctor and ask?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Did he draw blood?
Yes.
Okay, so my guess is he might have measured some of that. One of the things that we are finding more, and many of you already probably have what they call a patient portal with your primary care physician. And you can sign in and track, and it will track all the tests you've had and the results, et cetera. And in most cases, they're pretty good about getting those results in right away. So Garnett, I don't know if you have a patient portal, but if with your physician or with the hospital that you're at.
Duchess.
Duchess, okay. So they have a patient portal. I would encourage you, if you haven't, to sign up, get your ID in there so that you can go in, and it's kept very confidential. So it's not something they share, and you can go in and track it. You can also communicate with your physician that way. You can send them questions. You can, I found it very useful in terms of all of my, almost all of my physicians are on that patient portal.
So you just go to the hospital website?
Yes, and you'll see patient portal as one of the options there, and just click that on, and then you can sign up for it there, and they'll walk you through it. But it's
Thank you.
again, it gives you information in your medical record, which you're entitled to, but it's an easy way to do that, and it's an easy way to get updated quickly.
I think the other thing to be aware of is that we've outlined today 4 different indicators of your health. And if you have, my A1C is a 5. And the reason that I know that is because I have diabetes on both sides of my family. And I keep tracking it all the time because I am concerned that the type 2 diabetes, because of my weight, is going to come after me, so to speak. And 2 of my 3 siblings have type 2 diabetes in addition to extended family. So I'm very happy to admit that I don't have type 2 diabetes, but we keep a good track on it. So that's something that I track very closely, but my cholesterol and my blood pressure is textbook. So out of these 4 indicators, the only thing that I have is that I'm overweight. And I know that if I had type 2 diabetes, that it would start to snowball and other things would start to go out of whack. So the thing that I really liked about this program is that we know that if you have one of these things start to go into the non-normal range, then if a second one goes, it starts to add more complications. So that's why we thought this was really important, because it starts to complicate your medical history more and more, the more things that come in out of the quote unquote normal range. So it's really important to keep an eye on these things, and it's easy to track them, and your primary care will be happy to help you do that.
Good. Other questions?
David, are those charts on the website for reference?
They will be by tomorrow afternoon.
I'm not gonna do it right now, but okay. Because you can't remember them all and you can't write it down. Right, yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
They will be by tomorrow afternoon. I only got them right before the,
I was
Day after tomorrow is okay
like,
too.
Carrie, I may bring
okay,
one.
good.
Carrie, I may bring one to church.
What is that website?
Episcopalseniors.org.
Episcopal Seniors,
Seniors.org,
yeah,
that's it?
yeah,
That's it.
Episcopal Seniors, plural, seniors.org.
I'll put it into the chat.
There you are.
Oh, Episcopal Seniors.
Yeah. You know, those weird Episcopals. you know,
Oh,
Those
Yeah.
funny
well.
religious folks.
And a short way to call them is Episcopals probably, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, good. Other questions? Concerns,
Thank you.
ideas?
Okay, we have a poll which addresses some of those things. Let me activate the poll. And I made it the kind of poll that everybody should be able to take this time.
And we won't, the results will come in collectively, not individually.
Yes, okay. Okay, you currently know, I think I do actually. Do you know it? Well, one of four. I don't know what A1C is. I don't know that. Well, I do because I do it every time I go. So you're right to put yes for me. You do yes or no, I'm yes and you're no. Do you think you have future program? That's a yes. Well, we lost it.
Rita, I see your animals going back and forth.
It's easier to leave them in the room than to try and keep them out of the room.
Okay.
Did you enjoy
For
it?
those of you that are answering yes to, if you have ideas for future programs, I will get your email addresses from the poll
Okay.
when it all comes in, and then I'll be in touch.
Sure, yes, yes, yes.
Again, we'll have, one of the other questions that it's not on here, but there's been some discussion as to the convenience of this time as opposed to a different time.
I didn't
say
think to put that in. Come here, baby.
something something in the evening in the week. I mean, that'd be better than Saturday afternoon.
Yeah,
So the next one in May, we'll put during the week in the afternoon, or not.
How do you feel about a
It gave me
Wednesday
a break from
evening?
work.
I'm sorry.
It gave me a break from work,
Oh, okay.
but
Dave's got to go out and plant.
evening would be better.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
We'll do that. We'll do
Wednesday
that.
sounds really good, not Tuesday. Not
I
Tuesday.
think for me, evening is better too, like Monday through Friday or Wednesday is fine.
Evening's good, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So-
I think
Is
It's not
7:30
always good for me.
7:30 a
we
good
get-
time?
That's good, yes.
Okay.
7:30.
7:30 after dinner? Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
I bet you we'd get a lot more people.
I had
Mm.
trouble figuring out the form.
Okay.
Okay, that's okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
I'm gonna stop sharing the poll.
Can't see anyway. I'll start checking. 100% yes.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Bye,
Very
everyone.
good.
See you
Have a
next
good
week.
afternoon.